Diddy. Well, it went down, and Diddy is now in custody in New York. And what happens next? Well, that's anyone's guess. Obviously, more hearings, possibly more charges. Joining me to discuss, Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI special agent. Jennifer, were you at all surprised that it went down, this soon and kind of by surprise? Supposedly he was going to be turning himself in, but that didn't happen that way.
Yeah, first of all, not at all from the surprise standpoint. Often we'll do that to sort of lure somebody so that we can keep track of where they are and then make a very safe arrest.
Hmm.
It wouldn't have been a good plan to do it really any other way. First of all, just the manpower and time expended to find exactly where he was and then to go into a situation that they couldn't more control would have been dangerous under the circumstances. So I'm not surprised about that. My hat goes off to these HSI special agents. They did this really, really rapidly when you consider the amount of information they had to work with after those warrants.
Yeah, and there's likely probably more to come on this case. But they went in Monday night. Apparently, he was going to turn himself in. There's a very stark picture of him in Central Park. I don't know if you saw it. It was actually the afternoon of the arrest. And he's just kind of sitting there on a hill, kind of overlooking the big green space there, people out playing, picnicking, just enjoying their time in the park. And he just kind of has this look on his face of just, I don't know if it's uh, just giving up of accepting reality of where it's at. But he almost had it almost looked peaceful in a way, which is kind of surprising, knowing that he knew it was all about to come crumbling down.
You know, it was funny, Tony. I was in Central Park right at that same time.
Really?
But fortunately, I wasn't getting handcuffed
Yes.
or anything. So that's good. No, I was there, and I tell you, it's just a huge situation because I believe that so many people didn't believe anything was going to happen. You and I had many discussions on this. I had many discussions with Chris Cuomo. He was another one. He said, I just don't know that they're going to be able to put a case together. I'm like, Chris, the case is already together.
Yeah.
From the standpoint that the search warrants were done. The Bureau and the U.S. Attorney's Office would not have gone to those links if they didn't believe they had a rock solid case. They were just building upon the case that they already had built. And so, anyway, I know it's hard to believe because he's such an icon in some respects, or was a billionaire,
Hmm.
pretty much self made. And I just don't think anybody thought he was touchable, but he was very touchable.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody is touchable if you do the wrong things enough. I was going to say do the right things, but do enough of wrong things, you're going to. But look how long it took. Look how long he was able to basically live this life, even hint at it in public, in interviews, and his friends, associates, all kind of hinting at. We can't talk about what goes on at Diddy's house because it's so bad. And it's just, it's shocking because we were in a culture for so long where everybody was just like, oh, I bet that's really bad. I don't think anybody, I hope nobody really thought they thought to the extent of just how bad it really was that we're learning about now.
Again, I think that anyone who read those civil suits,
Hmm.
those allegations were just so stark and so criminal in
Yeah.
nature that I think anyone with at least a law enforcement background would look at that and say, whoa, 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 this just isn't a civil matter. And then beyond that, the number of people, and I know a lot of people said, well, he's rich, they're just going after the money. Look at Cassie was paid off in one day. And so people are coming out of the woodwork. When you read the details that were in all of these suits, it was clear to me this wasn't just made up. This was real.
No, no. I mean, it's very, very starkly real. The fact that there are so many people that seem to be in this circle. Were you all at all surprised that we didn't see others being taken down simultaneously with Diddy, or is this part of the strategy? Just okay, big one's down. Now let's let everybody incriminate themselves as they all kind of freak out.
I think it's part of the strategy. First of all, I think it was very important to them that once they had, and I know we say probable cause, but it's really not probable cause, Tony. It's beyond probable cause because no United States attorney is going to put their reputation and their career on the line to go with just PC, which is the minimal amount of proof needed. No, they want to know that their case is lock solid and that they believe the person did it legally beyond a reasonable doubt. That's truly the standard
Mhm.
that the prosecutors are looking at, Tony. So I think that the minute they had that, they knew they had to get this guy off the street. I mean, they believe he's a flight risk and they believe he's a danger to the community.
Let's talk about the associates of Diddy. I mean, there are many. There's many celebrities that were very close with him. Not here to accuse anybody of anything, and of course, Diddy is innocent until proven guilty. But there was a lot of people that were in that circle. A lot of people that um, one may reasonably guess that may have had some knowledge of what was going on, maybe even participated in what was going on. And there's a palpable silence right now from about every single one of those people. What does that tell us?
Well, I love how you said that. It is such a deafening silence because we're not hearing a word from a lot of people, and we know they discussed 50 witnesses. Just think of the spider web effect of that. How many different people that people then have information about. And, we've all seen the photos. We know the celebrity. We know the political, we know all of these tentacles. And I've always said in this case, Diddy will be in prison the rest of his natural life if he doesn't turn.
Mhm,
And I don't know what all he might have on other people. I don't know what he was smart enough to compile.
mhm.
He videotaped everything, Tony.
Yeah.
So I think it's out there.
I mean, is he in a position to turn? I mean, he seems right now like he is the big one. What who would he turn on? What would he be turning on to if he were to turn? Would it be just a mass conspiracy of many other people?
Well, he's the huge fish. I agree with you. And I
Yeah,
think others will also be prosecuted that are lesser involved in the conspiracy than him. Again, if he's convicted,
sure.
right? I think it's him and then all the co conspirators that were involved. But are there any other people that maybe aren't above him per se, but that have huge political and or stardom,
Mhm.
sensational type reach that he may start pointing the finger at to get more leniency? I mean, to maybe get 20 years as opposed to 60.
Mhm. And that's got to be a scary prospect for some people right now. Are we talking? Uh, how much do you think we're talking about just reputations being ruined because they were around, they participated, but they really didn't have anything to do with the trafficking. They just were kind of there, and they found themselves in the presence of what the hell he was doing. Or are we talking, bigger figures? Do you think, bigger names that may have actually been a part of the process itself, in like the Rico case itself of going across state lines and things of that nature and helping to facilitate the trafficking of humans.
Well, you have to look at who his closest associates have been over again. This is spanning since 2008.
Hmm.
Tony, this is 16 years. Who were his girlfriends? Who were his closest associates? What did they know? What did they maybe, cover up? What did he aid? What did they possibly aid and abet with? Did they harbor anything? There are a lot of different tentacles I could see going out with some pretty famous celebrities and public figures that it'll be interesting to see whether he spills any tea. First of all, I think it's way premature. There are a lot of hearings. There's, evidence they're going to want to suppress. There's so much. I don't think he's going to come forward anytime soon. He's got billions. He is, or I should say, worth billions. He has an amazing attorney, and there's a long way to go before the government seals this deal and he's convicted.
Are you at all surprised that it goes back to just 2008? Because we've obviously heard accusations and things that go far deeper than '08. Or are we just obviously those are going to be a little bit harder to uncover? There's a lot more work to get to the meat of some of those accusations and such. Do you think we're going to see more charges that reflect an earlier time period than '08 as this continues?
I think it's very possible. Again, I truly believe that they wanted to put together the strongest case they could in the shortest period of time, and then they can also always expand on that. They can add other predicate offenses. They can add predicate offenses before this because their time clock is begins at the latest offense,
Mhm.
not the earliest offense. And that's why people charge RICO. They want to dismantle statute of limitations, if you will,
Mhm.
by showing it was continued criminal conduct.
Do you think we're going to see other investigations opened up here into celebrity deaths? I mean, there has been, of course, accusations for years that he could have been involved with the murder of Tupac, ordering the hit on him. But I would almost say more recently, the death of Kim Porter, his former girlfriend, mother of some of his kids, dying of pneumonia at a very young age, and also being in pretty good health, and she wanted to get out of that relationship. We're just learning now that there's a book coming out based on her diaries, which reveals allegedly abuse, weird sexual behavior, all sorts of things. I mean, really, very much the same things that we've been hearing about for all this time. But it just knowing everything in context now, it seems all too convenient that her leaving his life and being able to talk about some of those things would have been something at the time that he certainly would not want to have happen. Are we going to be looking at, possibly seeing was that the death what they said it was?
Well, I think they're looking already closely at that, that there is this new book out, and I believe it's very telling. I know for a fact there are photographic evidence of the fact she was abused, and I don't think anybody's saying, "Oh, you're kidding me."
No.
I think it's very expected that probably the intimate relationships he had with women and men were quite abusive. And so it's not really a revelation, but it is proof positive how far back this goes. And they need to definitely take a closer look at the autopsy if one was even conducted, which I don't know the answer
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
But I do remember reading that she died of supposed natural causes with some sort of complications with pneumonia.
Yeah, yeah. What about his kids? We saw them coming in and out of the courthouse the other day. There, of course, has been allegations against them. Some, just as bad as against his father for sexual abuse and things of that nature. They obviously looking very defiant, walking in, and I gotta understand that this is the bubble they come from. They don't know a world outside of Diddy land. Do you think we're going to see charges come up on them at some point? They are adults, and if they were participating in some of this stuff, I would imagine that there's some level of responsibility there as well.
I think it's very possible they were part of his most closest inner circle. And if they participated in any part of this concerning drug trafficking, concerning the arson, concerning sex trafficking, there's so many predicate offenses here. It just, witness intimidation, the list goes on and on. I think that all of those that have had a hand in this, law enforcement can't turn away and not look at it. So unless they're fully cooperating as a witness, they're going to be charged.
Do they have any sort of recourse here or any sort of argument? I mean, almost like a battered spouse syndrome, but almost like a battered child. Where I mean, look, I mean, if this is what your dad's doing all the time and he's flaunting it, and you're being exposed to it from your very young ages. Now you're an adult. Obviously, we have free will. We can make our choices as an adult. But essentially, you've been conditioned, almost brainwashed to think this is how life is and this is how you handle people. Is there any level of forgiveness, if you will, or going light on someone who essentially was brought up in what would have been really truly, if all is true, a very abusive environment?
Well, definitely. I mean, as investigators look at who they want to add to their list of cooperators and to extend deals to, that is one of the biggest considerations that they're going to look at. And believe me, it's not that people get off scot free or that you get total immunity. That is extremely rare, but charges can be reduced to lesser charges. And they're going to look at that, Tony. They're going to say, who is sympathetic?
Mhm.
Who didn't want to be involved? Remember, they have so much. They have conversations between everyone. They have social media. They have everything. They see everything when then they went into that house. So they're going to know the family dynamics and who was deeply involved and who wasn't.
Another thing we were talking earlier about just the silence of other celebrities that were close with him, and I guess that can be read one of two ways. I think it also, can be read into when there's nothing being said about this, of nobody sticking up for him either. It's not just, hey, we were involved, but there's no one of any merit that's going and saying, oh, this is not right. These charges are bogus. Just silence. Neither way. I think that might say something as well.
Well, I think people want to separate themselves as much as they can from Diddy. I'm sure they're burning every picture they ever had taken with him as a celebrity. I mean, this is a man who once had the key to New York City.
Mhm.
I mean, politicians, high profile celebrities, everybody wanted to be around Diddy. People wanted to have their careers kicked off by Diddy. He had so many businesses and so many ways that people could latch onto him and explode in terms of popularity and money and earnings and everything else. So there's a lot of people I think that are trying to distance themselves and silence distances.
It's gonna be fascinating as this continues to unfold. Now that he is behind bars, I'm sure there's going to be new chapters every week, and probably a whole new era of people coming through and telling their story. Now that they don't have to really fear the type of retribution that they might have otherwise had while he was free.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's so much and there's so much legally ahead. I want to know, are they going to waive speedy trial?
Mhm.
I really think they have to because of the volume of evidence.
Yeah.
But just imagine if they don't, we could be looking at a trial around the corner. I mean, that's what he's entitled to.
Mhm.
So this defense team has huge questions to answer and decisions to make. But we're a long way off from really knowing everything.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.